Mapping is the relationship between two sets of things. Suppose there are many lights in a classroom and a row of light switches is on the wall. Now, can you guess which one is related to which one? This is the biggest question. A lot of people, they have numbered their buttons and switches by writing F or light 1, L1, L2, something like that on their switches. So this is really important concept. Now, another concept is natural mapping. Natural mapping is that when you have two sets and their mapping matches with each other in a natural manner. So the first button is the first light and the second button is the second light on the ceiling and the third button. So for example, if I have three lights in a row in a column and I press first button, then it lights up the first light, then this is basically natural mapping. So every time if I want to turn on any light I desire, I can naturally map it to the button I need to press. Few examples of mappings in software design or hardware design is when you have used your Xbox controller keys and you also see that there are different shortcut keys in different softwares and apps, even Photoshop or any text editor. There are similar controls like Control S or Command S for saving the file. It is common in all different operating systems or in all different softwares, so user can easily memorize them and they are natural. Save S is for save, so it is easier to remember. It is our natural mapping that if I press Control S or Command S, it is going to save the document. Let's see some of the examples of mapping and how different mappings are good or bad, and how you can use these principles to make your softwares or websites or games or apps better. Now you can see over here, this woman is what she is doing is she is labeling the main area at the top or the main category or the main area at the top, and the bottom she is labeling what these buttons are going to lit. Okay, so what they are going to, which light they are going to turn on. So these are different buttons. She is using different labels in whole of her house like that. So this is her solution. Now there is one more article from Don Norman, Designing for People. You can see I talk about him a lot. Now in his book he tried to propose a solution something like that. So this is the floor plan of a house and he says that place the buttons on the places where the lights are actually there. Okay, so if the light is on this wall, you need to place the button on the floor plan over here. Okay, so if I turn this on, it is going to turn the light just over here. So this is his plan. Now a designer called Hwang, I think he is a civil engineer and from Korea, he tried to solve this problem. I think he has solved the problem, half of the problem. And you can see there is a whole panel with all the floor planning of the house, and you can tap on any area. Like if I want to lit my bedroom, I'm going to tap on this area and it is going to turn on and turn off the whole lights. This is his design. It is called floor plan light switch. Now let's see some of the more confusing designs like this one. This is the panel inside a truck and you cannot tell what these buttons are going to do or where they are actually linked. So this is really confusing. Okay, I'm going to show you a few more examples from this stove or oven, and if we zoom into it, you can see there are 1 2 3 4 5 stoves and there are 1 2 3 4 5 6 buttons over here. So this is a bit confusing. So if I am going to zoom in, you can see over here that this button on the left, which I thought that it should lit this one, it should lit this one up, it is for the rear. Okay, so it is going to lit this burner over here and not this one. I think they have mentioned this plan because it is not natural mapping. You can see over here, in my mind I was thinking that this should be related to this one and this should be for this one, or maybe someone else is thinking that this is for the rear one and this is for the front one. But from my perspective, I think this should be turning on this burner. Okay, so this is for the center one, which is over here, and I think it should be over here somewhere. So for more natural mapping in this area, but I think they reserved this area for these oven controls. And if we go on the right side, you can see over here, this button is for the oven at the bottom, and this is again front and the rear. Now you can see this position is totally different from this one. Here the rear button is at the first, and here the rear is at the last, which is very confusing for me. So this is all about this confusing mapping of this device. Now let's see some of the more examples. Now you have seen these remotes in a lot of toys, remote controlled or radio controlled toys. You can see this is a bit confusing because one of the panel, this control is stick control is for forward and backward, and one is for turning. So sometimes a new kid, they are really confused how to, turn this or use this. But instead, if you go to this one, these are a bit new, and you can see these are really natural. If you turn this driver wheel at the right or left, it is going to turn right or left. So it is very easier for the kids. It is more natural because it is linked to our cars. We drive cars with these wheels. Now let me show you some of the examples of gaming and how controls are mapped on a keyboard. You have played a lot of games. You can see most of them uses the same controls like W, S, A and D for movement. And one mouse click is for firing, and second is for loading, something like that. So most of these controls will be similar in a lot of games. You can see over here, this is another game, ZMR, and it has also almost the same controls. You can see this is attack, this is aim. These are called mapping, and they are basically why they are using the same pattern, because our minds are wired with patterns. So if I have played like 2 or 3 games before, I will be adopted to this game easily. I can easily start playing this game because I am already accustomed, and I have already seen those patterns, those mapping patterns. Like you can see W, it is very natural indeed because W is at the top. So if I press this, it is going to be movement in the forward direction, and S is for backward, A is for left and right. So whatever the position of these buttons, it is going to move my gaming character in the same direction. So this is called mapping concept of user experience, and how we can use them in our softwares or in our hardwares or in our devices or in our electronic devices to make the user experience better. Now in the end, I'm going to show you the mapping of cars and vehicle. This is from Mercedes-Benz 2014 model S550, and it is seat adjustment mapping. A few years back, they were not using something like that. They had few buttons over here to press and manage this. Now if you try to press this button, this head seat, and if you drag it at the top or try to press it at the top or the bottom, it is going to move in the same direction. Now what you need to do is you need to press this button, or this area is linked to your seat. So it is very easier to map what I am trying to adjust. So if I am trying to adjust my back seat, this portion, I am going to press this one, or I am going to push this one from the back or from here, and I can easily adjust it. So this is my rest seat or whatever, I don't know what you call it, and this is the bottom. So all these controls are really naturally mapped, so anyone can easily adjust these seats in Mercedes-Benz. So this will be my last example. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. Now let's move on to the next lesson.